Baloji, I would like you to introduce yourself on who you are, what you do in this world.
Oh, who I am? It's already a difficult question. I will describe myself as a poet. I think that's my main thing in my life is writing poetry. And I started that when I was 12, 13. And I think I've been doing that since that's been my only job since then. And it's just that poetry can take different forms, can be visual, can be graphic, can be aesthetic, and can be, of course, songs, music, and lyrics. So yes, I will describe myself as a poet. I'm from Congo, DRC. I'm based in Belgium. Technically, I'm director, art director, musician, producer, rapper, singer.
Multitasking.
Sorry?
Multitasking. You do everything.
I do a lot of things, but just because the idea is driving, the idea need to drive the project before anything. So when I have an idea, it's just that's going to take the lead. Whatever happens is just the ideas. It's only about that.
Beautiful. Cool. I would like to start by the creative outcome from a youth of conflict. Because I read like where you come from, like where you were born, then you moved to Belgium at the age of 3.
Yeah.
So if you want to explain a little bit like what happened there in your teenage years, why you started writing, what writing like create within you, like if it helped you, like, I don't know, just explain a little bit the origin and all of that.
I will say I'm a child born of a one-night stand. And because my dad didn't want to stay with my mom or to give her a monthly fee or money, he took me to Europe. Was a way to say like, I bring him to Europe instead of giving you money every month. He's 30, he's back in DRC when he's 18. And that was basically their plan. That never worked out. So in a way, it influenced the person that I am a lot. Just the fact that I'm disconnected to my mom and my dad from the start. So living with my stepmom and my stepbrothers and sisters. So yeah.
So you didn't have a good relationship with your dad? Were you kind of like forced, or like you felt like you were not
forced? It's just because he knew who I was, and he just didn't care, and I was just a loose cannon.
Okay. And
I would like this.
I was also reading that you had like some like troubled teenage years. Like I think we all like go through this process when we are in between like 15 to like 20s. Like we kind of like lose it a little bit and like we get a little bit busy. So explain a little bit like what like 15-year-old Baloji and like what happened in those years.
I will say just insecurity. Not knowing where you have to be. And I remember I was spending a lot of times with people doing graffitis, doing tags in the street. And for them it was art, but for me it was just aim out there.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was connected to a certain anger that you carry in you and you don't know how to deal with it. Before somebody will say, yeah, but it can be art, this type of anger. You don't think about it. You just do because you are frustrated and you want to kill the bus line and to be on every train and to be everywhere because you think that's the way to express yourself besides doing other things to make money. And because, I was 15, living on my own.
You were living on your own with 15?
Yeah, at 15, I started at 15.
How did that happen?
Just me and my big mouth who decided I had to live on my own and to leave the family house and be like, okay, let's do it. And then the reality strike back and try to find your way.
Okay, it's interesting that you talk about anger. Like, I think when you don't recognize anger or when you don't put the anger in the right direction, it can be very destroying. But if you like take this anger, understand that where it comes from, and then you create from it, is when like the most beautiful project and the most beautiful art can like, arise. So it's
I
really
only understand how to control it now. Especially with music, especially I met some friends, the gospel singers, and they teach me how to breathe. In a way, that's the way you can control. It's funny because we start with that, and that's what my friends Didier King is doing from Cameroon, and that's what he's doing, just breathing and just talking about how we need to breathe, and in a way, it helps you to control your emotion and to just focus. So it's very interesting to go to that phase, I think.
yeah, I think breathing is like, for me, it helped me a lot. Like I do like my yogas and my breathings, and it's a huge difference before and after my practice. It's just something that we like, no one has taught us like when we were like kids, you know. And I think it should be, because there are so many issues that could be addressed if we notice like little things, like routines. Like we could do things like we are kids, and then we would avoid a lot of problems when we are like
But
older.
breathing, yes, breathing is fantastic. For example, I was performing with my hip hop band, just like we were five. After 10 minutes on stage, I could not breathe anymore. I was tired. And now we can go on stage for an hour and a half or 2 hours. It doesn't matter because
I
I
can,
know
I know
how
that.
to breathe. Yeah, you
I
sound
know. I
good.
know your concerts is like a full workout. Your concerts are like, I can lose like 10 kilos in your concert. Like it's crazy. And you end up sweating like it's life. It's insane. The whole band, your whole band is like, you know, I love this old man that you have. Like he
Yeah,
took the back
the guitar player is 73 years old. Yeah.
oh my God.
He's
Every time that
amazing.
he plays his solo, because I'm always waiting for this moment in your concerts, was pure
He's
joy.
amazing. He's
Yeah.
amazing. And he teach me a lot how to, yeah, he's like my dad, to be honest. He's
Cute.
my dad.
Yeah, sometimes you find people in the way that become your family, you know, not the not the
Yeah,
ones you choose, but the ones that you find in the way that might just, you know, be the
yeah.
people that teach
It's
you.
a
Like,
fantastic. And this year, normally we are celebrating our 10 years together.
oh wow,
And that's
that's insane.
crazy. 10 years with the same group of people. It's
Uh-huh.
crazy because nowadays, especially in music, a band lasts the time of one or two record, and then something happened and they split up. That's the usual way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just like father and daddy. Just amazing.
So you started writing poetry that then became hip hop, and then you became quite a successful, like, you
Yeah,
know,
it was a
musician.
successful hip hop band in Belgium. Yeah, was
So how was this experience? Like, how did that happen?
I don't know, and that's the beauty of it is
I
that
love.
you don't have to think about it. It
Mhm.
just happened, and you just do it. And I would say a successful musician is really often connected to demographic.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so when you're 18, you're reaching an audience that is just like you, that is extremely active. So that's why I'm always saying, like, for a hip hop guy, you 18 till 22, 23, and then it's over because the audience need to be in the same energy as you. It's just
Mhm.
like youth, just like
Mhm.
spontaneous. And we
Yeah.
were just like that, just a bunch of five guys from a city called Liège, and we were just like wilding all the time and doing our things, and we just had success in Belgium.
And how did your music develop? Because I read that you didn't have like contact with your mother.
So basically, I received a letter from my mom in 2007,
How was
and
that?
it was like
At
20
home.
years without knowing her.
Wow.
And I thought it was a fake, of course, at
Did
first.
you?
Yeah, but then she knew my real born date because my dad didn't knew when I was born, so he put a random born date. So she knew my real born date, everything. So we talk, and I mean, I see her later, and when we talk, she told me that she saw me on TV with this hip hop band called Staflam, and she said she always knew that I will do music because my dad told her that she bring me to the land of Marvin Gaye, which is
Mhm.
Ostend, because Marvin Gaye was living in Ostend when I was born. And I don't know, it just stuck in my head. I was like, wow, that's crazy that she thought of this. just a detail, but it mean a lot. So and then I started listening to a lot of Marvin Gaye, and I found this song, and I thought it was very fantastic. You should check it. It's called "I'm Going Home to See My Mom." This is written in the 70s, and it's connected to my life now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, maybe I should do a record for my mom to explain everything that happened to my life from the day I arrived in Belgium to the day that I listened to this song, and I had her later in my hands. And I was like, okay, let's make a record, and I'm gonna give it to her as a gift. I was like, this is me. Because on the phone, she asked me, what is your life? And you know, you meet your mom for the first time, you don't dare to say,
Having goosebumps.
You know, I did this wrong. You know, I just didn't.
So many years, right?
Just scared. No,
yeah.
It's not about the year. It's just, I was just scared. I was just like, fuck.
Were you angry? Did you have any like bad feelings or like energy towards her? Or it was just like, it wasn't her fault, right? Like,
no, it was not her fault. It was not her fault, but it took me years to deal with it because I did the record. It took me a year. Then I went to Lubumbashi. So it was for me the first time going in Africa. It's just a shock because you live in Europe and it's all different. And everybody just saw that I was different. Although you have the same color, but just in 5 seconds, everybody know you're not from here, man. Even if you try hard.
Yeah. And how would you define that? Like,
it's just a cultural difference. It's just the way we approach things are totally different. The way we carry ourselves, and there is not a good or bad. It's just different. And when we met, it was a disaster.
Why?
It was just.
Why was a disaster?
Because she contacted me because I'm a first son, and the first son has to carry on for the family. To bring money. And I remember I was overdressed to meet my mom in a very posh restaurant. And she came with her sister, with my aunt. They were the two of them. And I made a song about this on my second album. And the first thing they say, just sitting, they just look at the menu and they say, and my aunt, she said, we're not gonna eat here. There's no way. Because just random meal costs $20. With $20 we can co-op for 1 month.
Wow.
And I know it sounds so stupid, but I didn't thought of it, not 1 second. I know when I say to people, they are like, come on, you just done, but of course. But no, I didn't thought of it. And she just said that, and I was like, oh, just like reality strikes bad.
That's what you said about the difference, like.
Yeah, just the difference. And I'm not rich or anything. I'm just like confronting like to this reality, like, no, we're not gonna eat in this place. So I just say, okay, please eat for me. I give you I'm not gonna eat, but I give you the money for my meal. So you still have that money, and at least we can share a moment around the table. And sharing food as a social element in European life, but not for her. So yeah, and then I was with my records and everything was like with all the lyrics and everything, and I just didn't dare to give her the record. I didn't. I just give it randomly the day before leaving the country. At the airport, I say, hey, by the way, I have this.
So it was like the most important thing, and you just left.
And then it become the most random things ever. I was like, she just don't care. It was not important because she was like, okay, man, we need money.
But I think it's also beautiful that from like this space of like you moving to Europe and like having all these like things happen to you, and then you meeting your mom again from this place of like anger or like frustration or like not understanding, you created an album. And that's, the thing that we should think about, like from any place that is like coming from pain or like, this like feelings that we don't like to feel, because let's be honest, no one likes to feel pain, or no one likes to feel anxiety, or no one likes to feel like, we can create like insane things that can heal other people, you know? So it's so powerful that you took that, and instead of like being like, oh, whatever, I don't care, or like, you know, you decided to like take all of that and write and like make something beautiful, and like get in contact with your culture as well. So, and creating this fusion of your music, which is amazing. Like, it's so special and so unique, and I think we should be aware of that as creators. I don't think just artists, but just people that need to create things to like heal, because that's what we're talking to Rod the other day, like creation for healing. It's like a really powerful tool.
I think so too. I would say that everything I'm doing, I do it in a very naive way. And I think this is what I'm still doing till this day. Just the naivety to think like, this is possible. Mm-hmm. Nobody told me it was not impossible, so I'm going to make it possible. And like, for example, the film Zombie, which is the film that I did that is the most successful.
I'm obsessed.
I did it all by myself because nobody wanted to give me money, you know, label or producer. Mm-hmm. They were like, this is a waste, and short films is not a market. There is no industry for that, and you're going nowhere with this type of content. And I was like,
you won how many prizes?
I don't know, a lot. I think that's the only way to do a project, to do arts. Mm-hmm. Just to do it because you want to do it. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it few months ago, and I was like working for other people, working for brands. I was signing to a production house. Mm-hmm. And in a way, I thought like, and I'm still haven't shot anything for anybody after this whole time. And I would like to do in a way, but at the same time, I'm scared that you have to follow so many rules, mm-hmm. and respect the need of the people who put money on it, just to say like the client. And sometimes I'm like, you lose your integrity, you lose your drive, you lose the whole thing of doing something creative, because it has to be playful. Otherwise, if creativity is a process to make money, you should do another job. And although I appreciate that people make money out of the creativity, and money is important in the whole process, but we don't do this as the first motivation to make money.
Exactly.
Otherwise, kill yourself.
I think it's like for people that truly like create from their souls and their heart and their guts, this is something easy, you know, like it's your need to like create things, because I don't know, you just need to do it. We just create because we need to create, and that's it. And we need to share like
how we I know, you know, because now there is, for example, a lot of focus on African arts. They don't think about what they're going to create or the narrative that comes first with the creation. They think about how to present it to the gallery, how to make it understandable for the market. And I was like, oh, I was really naive and really disappointed. It reminded me of music. Like you say, like, okay, now I'm going to do a record to make sure that DJ YZ is going to play it. And that's everything.
Yeah.
And this is it. This is me. If you like it, great. If you don't, fuck it. There is 5 billion other records to listen to.
Hello. If you do not understand, sorry, it's my French accent, but I'll try to speak very clearly. Baloji, you said that you were very enthusiastic at the idea of going to see your mother, and even the idea of going back home, and going back to your resources. I think talking about spirituality, it represented something very strong for you. So when did it have a shift when your mother had a kind of sort of materialistic idea of, what you have to do? Maybe not art, maybe just another job. Maybe my question is, did it have a kind of shift in your way of seeing your art?
Thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if she was materialistic
Okay.
or she was just driven by different rules. And for example, so let's say in Congo, we have these cultural rules that is the first salary you get, first time you get employed,
Yeah.
you have to give your first salary to your parents.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And it's a tradition, and it's something that we normally have to do.
Mm.
So I cannot judge this. It's like something normal. For her, it was like, okay,
Mm.
you have to give us back. And
Okay.
especially now we are in need of this.
Mm.
And what was interesting is that for me, I was like, I made a record for her instead of
Yeah.
bringing an envelope with money.
Yeah.
I just feel extremely disappointed. And
Mm.
on her side, she also felt very disappointed. Like, oh, what
Yeah.
is this guy? Why doesn't respect me
Mm.
and just give me the envelope?
Yeah. Okay.
Because you get disconnected with the tradition in a way, because I was not with a lot of Congolese people at the time.
Okay.
And I lost it. I was like, oh,
Okay.
shit,
Okay.
she's right.
Yeah. But despite the cultural differences between Congo and where you lived before, I mean, did you need to seek, something spiritual, a kind of link that you maybe didn't have before? Or, I mean, what was the main purpose why you moved there?
Yeah, to meet my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, just to meet her, just to hug her.
Okay.
I think for me that was, and also because it was always in my mind, like, like a puzzle, a missing piece in the puzzle. And I
Okay.
was like, maybe it's gonna be fantastic to just
Okay.
meeting each other, and nothing happened as we expect. I think it's normal in life. You have plan and nothing
Yeah.
work out
You're
as
right.
you expect. It just go on its own path.
Mm-mm. Okay. Thank you very much. I
Thank
love
you.
everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now your turn as a father. So if you don't know, Baloji has a beautiful daughter. I would love to talk about like your experience now as a dad, and also how affects your artistic career, your touring, and all of that. Like, so if you wanna share a little bit,
Uh, yeah, I love my daughter. Like,
what's
that's a
her
human.
name?
So, Bebel.
Bella.
Bebel.
Cute.
I think that's the person I love the most on earth.
Oh.
Just fantastic. Yeah, she's just full of life, and I understand a lot about parenting, about responsibility as a dad, and the relationship you can have with the others, and the impact that your words can have on other people. And I think she has big part as an inspiration in my life to help me, even to. I'm very interested in some feminist subject
Mm-hmm.
matter because I'm a dad of a young girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I just question the vocabulary that we have as men and without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
That's interesting
the
here.
interaction we have, the position of being métis, half black, half white, what it question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know exactly the word, but intersectionality, like layering several stigmas. And I think this is very interesting. So it became a subject matter that I like to work a lot about it, because of my daughter.
So did you like start like questioning yourself these things when you had her, or like when she was like growing up a little bit more?
Yeah, just growing up. Yeah, and also on her side, the fact we did a movie together
Cute.
2 years ago. And I think that really helped us to connect on a stronger level. Also for her to be with me in my work and to understand what I'm doing, compared to a mom who has, I don't like the word, but a more 9 to 5 job. Mine is more uh, all over
Yeah.
the place, and
Yeah.
the structure is not what will define the way I'm working.
Exactly.
And the fact that we did this film really creates a fantastic bond between us, and also can now understand better the impact that the culture that you give to a kid, or it can affect her, or it can have an influence on her. And I was DJ. It was, I would say, my only work in my life. So as a DJ, I was like working in a record store. So in a record store, you do every week the record of the week. So I keep that tradition with my daughter. So every week we have the record of the week. And
that's so cute.
That's what we do in the car. So this week was this Beyonce remix of Savage, and it's just part of it. And it's just to have this culture of fun. But really what she teach me is that as a creative, in French we say, travailler avec le sérieux d'un enfant qui s'amuse. We have to work with the seriousness of a child who's having fun, who's playing. And it's really my, how you say, my motto, my mantra.
Is it your mantra?
But it's special, you know, when you raise your kid on your own, it's like you have a special bond.
Are you a single dad, or do you?
No, I'm a single dad. She's splitting between me and her mom. But yeah, there is no one single day that I don't learn something with her. So it helped me on a deeper level, because it questioned something that we call hereditary. Like, you know, what we always say as a man, we always say, but I was raised like that. Or you behave in a certain way. Oh, yeah, but that's the way we behave. That's what they told us. And I'm facing the fact, and I'm proving myself that this is not true. This is just an excuse to put some name on some weakness that we have on a daily basis. Like, I'm a man, don't watch this, don't do the dishes, don't do certain things. And it's questioning, and like, no, that's not true. Who said that? Why we should believe these rules? Because they're part of our heritage and culture. And I'm like, no, we can be against that every day. And we have to learn to be against that, to change the way we interact as men with women.
Yeah. And sometimes it feels like you are kind of like going against your family, or like, you know, like what is there. And it's like, no, I'm not trying to betray you. I'm not trying to like just be a rebel. I'm just like trying to figure out what feels right in my own persona, because you are my family, and I'm coming from your roots and like from your experiences, but this doesn't mean that I have to be the same, you know, like I can create my own rules and my own persona and just become the person that I want to be, and also not be lazy or be just like, oh, it's fine, like, you know, because I was treated like this, like I'm gonna treat people like that, because like that's not the way we would evolve, or like that's not the way like we want.
To be honest, nobody ever, dad or mom, never tell me I love you. And I love this song of Curtis Mayfield that says, and Curtis Mayfield is not considered as a macho artist, male artist. And he's always saying like, I'm from the other side where I never learned to care, I never learned to share. And I'm like, are you learning this just because your parents were loving? Or you learn it because you experience a love relationship with somebody else? It has to do something with something biologic, or it has to do with something connected to your history or not. And the more I'm growing up with my daughter, I think like, this is bullshit. Like, this is not true, because they never teach me how to love somebody, how to care, how to, never. And there is no one day that I spend with my daughter without telling her I love her.
It's really hard sometimes to what you say, like the patterns, and like I think it's really hard to change it when like in your family that there has been like over and over a certain pattern, like the way that your mom or your dad behave to each other, or like the things that they say to each other, or like the things that say to you. So it's really hard for you to understand that there is another reality existing within the reality that you are experiencing, right? Because if you are just seeing like your four walls around you, you don't understand that behind these four walls are a vast amount of like mountains.
There
and
is
seas,
other
and, like,
possibilities. Yeah, people always want to put you in a box.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
as a black man, as a hip hop artist, and always has to, you always know how it's like, it's a predictable way that you know that, oh, if you date a black guy, it's going to be a fuckboy, or it's going to be like this because that's the way they are. And because there is a history of the way we are supposed to be with women. And I'm working on a new project, and it's really one of the main center that we are not depending on that. It's part of us, but we are free to make other decisions. It's not only like something that we have to be with the commitment relationship with that. I don't want to believe in that anymore.
That's so beautiful, and that's so good that you are doing a project on that, like speaking up for like what you don't want.
When I think about the situation where we are in the whole world, and I'm like, there is something quite interesting about this situation in a way, is that a short matter of time, we decide to go for life, not for money, not for the economy, like being like, okay, but these are our parents, so we should care of them. And when I think of it, I'm like, oh shit,
this feels good.
This feels good. And this crisis, especially for art, especially for culture, is going to be extremely long. And I don't see how we're going to, it's going to be a big mess.
I know that you wanted to speak about anxiety and like, you know, mental health issues and like the relationship with like the creative process, like how can affect it in good ways or bad ways. And also it's like a good time to talk about it, because I think it also can add a little bit more anxiety, not knowing when the fuck you are going to make money or like create something, or like, you know, even like get out of the house and like do a shoot, even if it's like nothing. So like, what's your perspective? How do you feel? Like, do you suffer from anxiety?
Not really, but I think I'm just disappointed when my phone rang and telling me that today I'm supposed to have my Google agenda telling me that today I'm supposed to play or to have something. I had some interesting work project, like I was doing like a garden. I'm obsessed with flowers, so I was supposed to do in my hometown in Belgium, just to do the decoration of a garden. And so we worked on that. The project is canceled. And it's just like everything get canceled. So you think like money first, now you're like, oh shit, no money incomes, no. And then you just see obstacle. And then my manager, for example, told me, yeah, but it's perfect. So you can create. And everybody's into this mind like, oh, then you can do your album. So then you can go work faster and focus on the content. And I kind of disagree because I'm
going to find on Instagram what you sent me. Said, it's okay if you are not creating right now. It's okay if you are frozen, depressed, anxious, lost. I keep being asked how I'm staying creative. I'm not. I'm just looking for places to donate, reading the news, eating crisps, or watching old box sets. It's okay to just survive for a bit. And that's another thing, like we as creatives, or like, you know, as like any human, we are like, under this pressure of like, oh yeah, you have time to create. What if I would just want to cry and just like be depressed for like a month and a half? Like, you know, like it's also like a valid state. You know what I mean?
I think one of our main problem, but we are the Instagram people, so we're always searching for validations.
Yeah, Ra was saying that as well.
We're fighting for it, and if we don't have validation, we feel desperate. We feel like shit. I think we should take a distance with that and just being ourselves. A friend of mine just told me like last week. She asked me like, please, you know, you're gonna repost that picture that we took in 2015, wearing a leaf, plant leaf on my face. Because when we did that, we posted. And we had like 85 likes. And it was so sad. Like it's really like literally so sad because nobody liked that picture. And I was like, I just fucking love it.
It's so beautiful.
It really made me sad, like deeply sad, like really very strange.
It's so weird now that I think of it, because you don't go to a museum and you press a button if you like the artwork. You know what I mean? You just go there
Yeah,
and
it's so
see it and
stupid.
you experience it and you are like, oh yeah, I like it. But you don't go to the artist or send him a message. Oh yeah, I love your art. You know what I mean?
And
So
you know what? And so my friend, what she told me, she said, "Yeah, you see, I see this photographer really get inspired by this picture. You should repost it, and you're gonna see it's gonna be different." Fact is, the picture I repost the picture, and it got like 5,000 likes. and then I was like, okay, but what does it mean?
Nothing, because it's the same picture. You know, it's like,
It's the same exact picture.
is
So
it?
do your product is good, or do your art is good, what you're offering is good because you have likes, or because you do it with the right intentions? And it's a good question we ask ourselves every day. I'm like, what I'm doing with this? And I thought it was very interesting experience then with this last week.
It's so interesting.
Hi, Baloji.
Hi.
So nice to see you. Well, I was thinking, do you do any like analog activities in your daily life that helps you when you're like feeling shit, or
What do you
just
mean,
like
analog?
well, like not necessarily using a phone or technology.
Okay.
Like something like it depends on like something that you can touch and you can feel like beside a screen. Do you do something like makes you feel good? Maybe like the thing you do about plants, or like maybe you can share some activities you do in your daily life.
Stuff that I'm doing on my daily life outside of my computer. Drawing a lot. I'm back to that. That was my first love when I was 14, was drawing, especially drawing for my film. I'm doing like small sketches, and it really helped me. For the moment, I'm also working on a project with flowers, or dead flowers. So I spend a lot of time working on that and see how the petals go older, or the assemblement, how you use them. And so this is something I'm doing that is absolutely not connected to a computer. Very analog. I like this word. But most of the time, everything I do is on my laptop. And yeah, because I'm writing the songs and the whole treatment, everything is on the computer. The whole things happen on my computer, unfortunately. And I'm obsessed with my phone. Yeah, I'm writing the songs and the ideas and working on everything, yeah, on laptop, most of it. But I have a lot of, I'm working on a feature film. And there is no one day that I don't have to give content, like a treatment, like a intention notes, like explanation on something, changing a version. It's a lot of work, but I didn't knew the amount of work
I know.
required to do a film is just
And even more what you said, when you said before, I mean, I don't know if you have sponsors, but it's so fucking hard to like put a team together, like the equipment. Like sometimes people, because they believe in your project, they want to be in it, and it's fine. But like the material, like all that you need to like make a film, like the cameras, the lighting, it's so expensive that you are like, well, I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. So
for Zombie, we had to play for the Belgium Queen. And I'm not a royalist at all. But I just thought of the fee. So I was like, okay, fuck my principal. If this helped me to get half of the money that I need to make the film, and the film cost me 25K in total at the end, I was like, maybe I should do it. Otherwise, there's no film. So there's no this history that we're talking about. I will be doing something else, and I will be probably frustrated. I'm proud that I took that risk. I think that's the only thing we should do. Our things, just take risk.
It pays off. Like I think when like look at all the prices and like all the good things that came out of it, you know. I think when you trust your intuition, and we said again this with rap, but when you follow it and you feel it that it's right, it's always gonna come out right. Like no matter when. But it's
and because I did 2 scripts for 2 feature film. and with the producer, with the co-writer, a really good co-writer. So we went in front of the commission and they say, yeah, but you're not a real director. You do video
No
clips.
way.
So it kept going like this.
So you need a paper that says that you are a director?
Yeah,
like,
because I didn't study cinema. I didn't study cinema. And also, again, the box, you're a musician. So if you're a musician, you should stick to music.
Mm-hmm.
Do something else that means you are not good at it and you're trying to change to find another work.
Mm-hmm.
So I get rejected for all my film. And the last time I get rejected was last year in November.
Mm-hmm.
2018. And I get rejected. And that day I cried. And I never cry. I really was so mad. I was so mad that I could just cry. Because the guy just said, they just saw my video of Peau de Chagrin, a video clip with all the vegetable plants and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they say, yeah, you just zoom in, zoom out. This is not cinema. You're not part of it. We don't believe that you are capable, that we can give you money to produce a movie.
Wow.
I was so down. You have no idea. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do this film, this zombie. I was like, fuck that shit. I'm just going to do me. And whatever it costs me, I'm just going to do. And because of the success of Zombie, they finally, the last time I went there, they said, oh, we discover you for your film. And then we learned that you were doing music. So we didn't know. So everything went different. And they gave us the granted for Zombie, for my feature film.
This is crazy. I understand so bad because I never studied anything. Like I'm self-taught. Like everything that like my photography, my cinematography, everything is self-taught. And sometimes I get frustrated because you have like the academics who went to like expensive schools and like I didn't really have a chance to go to these kind of places to learn anything. I just know that I want to do it and that I want to create something to communicate something beautiful. You know what I mean? And I don't need a paper that says that I'm a director or I went to that school for me to be a director.
But it's a balance.
Obviously it's a balance. And I think you learn when you start directing.
Yeah.
Exactly. You learn by doing. Going to school can be amazing, but at the same time tricky because sometimes it can really kill like your essence because you are like thinking about like the rules or like, certain aesthetics or like what you are supposed to do here or there. And I think when you are just like coming from nothing and you have to create it by learning, it's 100% your essence or like
you also have to. I always take this stupid example, but when I start working with my band, I never worked with musician before. Mm-hmm. The guy just say, "Oh, I'm playing the keyboards." Philip is like, "Do you want this in C minor?" And I look at him, I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh shit!"
Like,
you need also some knowledge, some technical ability to do certain things, but not too much because, as you said, sometimes when you have too much technique, you have the weight of all the things that you know and how film should be done.
I think you just find your ways, because you don't know. And it's true that you obviously, like the first time that I directed, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, thank God I had a really good DP and like, it was like great because I didn't really have to think, but afterwards it's like your choice to be like, okay, do I want to be in control of like what I want to do? So then you go and learn so you know what you want and how you can make it happen.
Hi, Baloji. So I noticed that you do a lot of collaboration and like you like include a lot of different like people and work with a lot of different people for a lot of your things. How do you approach collaboration, and is there someone that you would really like to work with?
I would say first thing first, I have no ego to say that somebody is doing a great job. And I think it's something I know it sounds very weird, but we're really in an industry where we pretend that you don't know certain people and that you don't see certain work or you're inspired by other people. And I have zero problem with this. Like, no problem with that at all. And if I see somebody like, what's her name? Kia? What's her name? Kia?
Lala, that's
Lala.
there.
She's there. Okay, I didn't saw her. Okay, I love her work. I just saw her work on your page. Oh, you're there. And I just love it. And so spontaneously, I just reach out. Also reach out IB Camera.
I love.
Work with him. I love his work, and you just reach out to people spontaneously because we have nothing to lose anyway.
Exactly.
Hi. Well,
Hi.
first of all, thank you so much because your imaginary is incredible. I really love it. I'm just gonna put you on bake now. I agree when you said that there is no ego between artists, between creators. It cannot be. People just like the queens of their own set, their own world. I love it. And then I saw all this in zombie video. There is all this waste, and it's quite shocking. Actually, it blew my mind at the end. It was quite ugly to see, but at the end you did it so beautiful work in there. And I noticed that everything is upcycled, everything is recycled, and most probably you
it's
made
just plastic. It's just the problem that we have with plastic. So the plastic coming from the house, is drained to the river.
Yeah, it was
drained to the river. It changed the shape of the coast around the river because the plastic doesn't disappear, obviously.
It's horrible, but you created beautiful pieces from that.
Thank you.
Really nice. Someone helped you, or it was your idea?
It was the idea in advance to shoot there like this. So it took us a moment to put everything together. I just wanted to do this Congolese cowboy idea. So we had to work with, so I had the chance to work with a girl called Elk Host. She's a teacher at Antwerp Fashion School.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I come with a crazy idea, and I'm always ashamed that she's gonna laugh with me because I'm drawing really ugly things, and I say I would like to do this. This is the way I would like. She executes everything exactly like that.
That's great.
And that gives you confidence and be like, okay, so maybe my idea are not so stupid. Maybe I should. It gives you like, you just open up the water flow and you just like, oh, maybe let's try this. But you need to have people that can help you on the technical side, like we talk about as being a director. You need people that can help to execute this thing. And also, we're also close with some people. I remember I connect with this guy of Outcome First a few years ago. And to see the way they treat the textures, the clothes, it really inspired me, and it really resonates with my dad, that I love to be dressed, that it's somebody who used to wear a suit every day. And it was interesting to see how you can take idea from the past, mixing with something new. And I learned from them as well. And I was like, okay, maybe my idea are not that stupid, so I can ask them for advice, and they give you little advice, and little by little you start to be like, okay, let's just try. And I remember I was like, there is a video, I'm wearing a dress and the top is a masculine. And as a man coming from hip hop, you have to understand, is like, wow, do I really do this?
Of course, yes. And as more,
but I was really scared. I was so scared.
I imagine.
I was so scared because I'm scared that people are going to say, oh, this is wrong, and why you do this? Are you gay? Blah, blah, blah. You don't know. I was like, no, this is the meaning of what I wanted to tell. A guy wearing a huge dress, extremely large, and the top is masculine, and playing with this ambivalence. And so, yeah, that helped me to stay playful.
That's great. Well, keep going.
Thank you. And what is interesting is that people don't see the trash anymore.
What do you mean they don't see it? It's just normal?
Just because the plastic don't go away. And it's just, it's just at the bottom of the hill, like I said, and the trash just come, and after 20 years, it just shape everything in a different way. And when I saw that place, I was immediately, this is where I want my revenge cowboy. It's a revenge cowboy character who's killing the Mobutu, the white Mobutu, the guy who was throwing money at people earlier in the film. And I thought that it was important that this character is living in that place. And yeah, everybody was doubting, like, this is something that we need to show. And I was like, yeah, it's part of it.
Why were they doubting?
Sorry?
Why were they doubting it was something that you should share?
Because just to show trash and to use trash as a landscape for your film. Is it a good idea? And I was like, why not? Let's do this.
I think it's important, like, to show this to the world, you know, like, because usually, like, the northern countries, we just go to the trash and put it, and then you just, like,
we hide it
at the door, and like you don't see it anymore because it's not in your house.
We have the same problem because we are trying now to erase plastic from our lives. For the same reason. It's just the way that we treat plastic is more organized here than it is in DRC, although it's changing. But I thought for the narrative of my character as a lonesome cowboy who's on the revenge to kill a white Mobutu, because that's the main subject of that film, is that he's killing this Mobutu. And I thought it was interesting that he's based there.
It's actually, like, very funny that you play. It's like an anti-hero kind of thing, right? You put it like in a place where it's like just trash. It's just like, well, you're kind of like making fun of, like,
this way it's staying.
So I don't know. Like, my question is, like, because I was really, like, into this thing, you know, like, because in the now we try to, like, also, like, talk about, like, social issues and, like, try and, you know, see the approach, or like what can be done from our side, and also see problems that.
What do you mean by social issue?
Things that happen in the world that just are not, like, you know, artistic.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it was really important to talk about, like, how, like, from our approach of, like, a northern country, what, like, can be done. Because I was reading, for example, Sweden has a system that takes the trash and recycles it and makes energy and electricity out of it. And what's happening, for me, Sweden is one of, like, the clever, like, in green technologies, like, one of the most clever countries.
Also with the COVID-19 situation, they are also taking an interest.
They are insane. So what they are doing now is, like, buying, like, the trash from other countries in Europe and using it to, like, make electricity and energy for the country, which is, like, super amazing and very clever.
One of my brothers is working for the UN, European Commissions, now in South Africa, and is helping local structure to receive the funding for all the NGO budget, or the European budget that goes to NGO, and that help them to develop project. What happened most of the time is the Western NGO that get the money, because they are more structured, they present files that are more professional than the local company that have some very interesting ideas. And so he decided to really being on the ground and to help those projects to happen instead of the corporate, more structured project. And there is some project that question, like, you know, I always think it's crazy because nobody really talk about that. Congo is the left lung of the, in terms of vegetation of the globe, next to the Amazonia. And there is a lot of issue there with the forest. And he's working on project to help people to maintain the forest intact, although doing business and using the wood to survive and using material to survive, but still make it more sustainable enough that the nature is still alive, that is not destroyed like it is right now. Because what didn't happen in Brazil, they have this leverage with social media that they can say, this is happening. It's a shame. But in Congo, the same thing happened, exactly the same thing. Nobody cared. And nobody has the knowledge and the tools to go online and to make cool people be aware, influential people be aware of the situation. So that's what my brother is doing technically, just to help people to make sure that their voice and their project can be heard.
Maybe you can, like, obviously when we hang up, you can tell me the name and we can just have a look at it and maybe share it with like the people here. For me, it's like so interesting because like the first time that I Googled or like I like researched like the term of global waste trade, it was saying that these like southern countries must be, it's like something that they get profit on because they get money. And I'm like, I was kind of like analyzing the situation and I'm like, usually southern countries are the ones with more resources, like South America, Africa, and Asia, more resources, like natural resources. So northern countries take those resources, we make our, like, you know, we exploit the land, we make our modern projects, and then we ship the shit that is like, you know, the leftovers of our what we design, and we ship it back there. And I was just like, how the fuck is that possible? Like, and how, as a single person, like, what is your action? What can you do? Because obviously I cannot go there and be like, hey, stop doing trash, or like,
it's the same for cars, the same for clothes, it's the same for medicine. And again, something that we learned with the coronavirus crisis is just like, even for European country, that we are not sustainable, we don't have resource for certain medicine, for certain for mask, for example, we don't create enough mask on our own soil, so people are just like, oh, maybe this should change. And it's the same in Africa. They're just like, oh, maybe we should not be so dependent. So that's why I'm supporting this movement now, asking government to erase the debt and the reimbursement. I don't know, it's technical in English, I don't know how to say this, but
I know what you mean, yeah.
With the debt. So, and I think it's really important because countries need that to start from scratch.
Exactly. So the debt is like what these countries pay to northern countries, right? Because I think Rod said that it's like a money that goes to like northern countries.
To pay back, yeah.
But it's like, pay back what? Like, I'm sorry, I just get angry. I cannot go into that because I'm just like, it doesn't make sense, you know? Like, if I analyze the situation, it doesn't really make sense. I think Esther has a question, and then I would like to add some stuff. So Esther?
Hello. Thanks to be with us. I was going to ask, let's see if I can ask it properly. Do you, as a, you know, African origin person and artist, do you feeling like a sort of responsibility towards spreading your work, your music, with like with activism, basically, with like the work you did with the trash and that, obviously showing everybody what was the Congo like and all of this? Do you feel like that in your career, that you have a sort of compromise to make everybody see how's the reality in Africa, in fact? Because a lot of African artists, under my point of view, they get super like sort of Europeanized, not say, you know, they get too Western sort of model, and then they forget about Africa. And I think it's really interesting that people like you could actually have the power to show everybody else what's the reality in Africa, and especially, you know, through films, through music, through everything. Also, you're getting a lot of people, and I don't know, how do you feel about this? Do you feel responsible? Do you feel compromised? Are you planning to do more work like the trash work you did in Congo, or?
I'm an artist, so I'm not gonna really get involved into some social perspective, and I try sometimes to talk about political subject matter in Congo, and I learned that it's a country that is better to don't talk about politics over there, but it's interesting to approach some political issues in an artistic way, so it doesn't get confronted to the government, because it can lead to some serious issues. I will not say much more than this, but I hope it's clear. But I thought it's interesting to play with that. Also, everybody's different. For me, I work as a musician. I work a lot on political subject matter, and it's just my feeling. But I don't oblige anybody to do the same or to listen to that, because it's easier to have party music or anything. But I think it's interesting to talk about it and to not make it too romantical. And yeah, it's a difficult subject matter, because you can be on Instagram and see everything cool about Africa, and then what is missing is the narrative. So I'm trying to keep the narrative very important, instead of this only having the aesthetic.
Right. Okay, I'm thinking about what you say. No, yeah, it's interesting. So you rather not like getting involved with like the actual social problematics into Africa. So you don't mind doing a little bit, but
I did it at some point. I did it in my hometown city, Lubumbashi. We did some active work. We did it, but sometimes it's difficult because you're full of contradiction yourself, you know, and it's hard to co-opt. So that puts you in a position as a politician in a way that you have to be 100%, and I'm not. So I'd rather be honest and just have an opinion as just like anybody else.
With the activism, because you know how the governments are, the
I think you can be activist, but in so many ways. And I think just living in Belgium, and every movie I ever did all happened in Congo, I think this is already something.
Yeah.
But I used to do some more social project, and then you are under the scope.
I feel sometimes it's also better or more constructive if you don't fight what is there, but help what is not there, you know, like what you're doing, like supporting things that aren't happening instead of like going against what is already happening, because you are kind of like in a way fighting the system, because you are not like, you know, you are making things happen there.
Not in a direct way.
I think it could be like I don't know, a less direct activism, but a very mild but still like very constructive one, you know.
I'm trying, but it's
yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think one thing for that that I'm also realizing a lot of times is that if you have African heritage, it's sometimes really hard to be between chairs, especially if you are from the diaspora. It's a different reality that I have lived in Europe for my family that has lived in Cameroon, for example. You know what I mean? So there's like different realities that we lived, and I can see through their eyes maybe if they tell me some stories, but I am not them, so I will never see the complete experience.
I have a song that is,
you're tiptoeing around. If you have these like different backgrounds, you're always tiptoeing around between all of the narratives that you know. And I think for that it's very delicate, a very delicate thing to be very activist. It's like for a man to be very, very feminist, you know what I mean? Like you have not lived this experience, so you need to have a lot of research and a lot of experience to actually be very feminist, like to be an activist feminist in that kind of way, and very loud about that. So I think it's about taking these kind of...
Just to find a balance. And for me, just my first time I went back to Congo, like I said earlier, everybody was like, you're not Congolese. And it's extremely confronting.
Exactly.
And the more I tried to prove that I was Congolese, the more obvious for them I was not Congolese. And the moment I didn't try to prove anything to anybody, I just say, fuck it, this is me. We're just equal. And if I'm interested in Congolese subject matter, let's just share my vision, because everybody has the right to have a vision, and nobody is not something that has to be structured. Like some people were coming to me, oh, you don't speak Lingala, you're not Congolese. It doesn't mean anything. Just it's deeper than that. But it's confronting to be like, fuck, you're not real. why I'm not real.
Yeah, it's like a search of identity in some kind of way.
Yeah. But you are, so.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add, Baloji, thank you so much for really opening your heart and talk with that honestly about everything, about some personal things and I guess things that are not easy, but at the end is what reality is. And seriously, we need stories like that. We need to hear truth and not appearances.
Not appearances,
That's
yeah.
what I would say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for being with me. It's cool.
Well. I think we are kind of like ending. I just wanted to add, like, I'm just very on this like trash problem, so I just want to add something. I just think from our point of view, because as you said, like now coronavirus is something that everyone has. You cannot you're gonna be like, oh no, this is not my problem, like, because that's what we usually do, you know what I mean? Like we see a problem, and if it's not really our problem, we just look away. But if we are aware that everything we do, everything we buy, everything we consume has an impact on like others, then we can make something about it, right? Like, so how like the amount of things that we buy, where do we buy those things? How we eat, like, you know, the amount of plastic we consume, like, I think this also is gonna have an impact little by little on like all this chain and like, you know, make the world a better place, I guess.
I have a lot of friends, they just like ecologic, and every time we talk, I always come up with the same thing. I'm like, we need to have a 9/11, ecological 9/11. The whole world get concerned, and the whole world after that change. So you can go to Lubumbashi, you can go to Cologne, whatever city, you have a control entering at the airport because of what happened in September 11. And it's very sad, but I think for all this ecological,
just being aware, like not being greedy, you know, like I think like one of the worst ¿cómo se llama? Adjectives of the humans are like being greedy, like greedy is so bad, like just
it won't change. It won't change, and nobody will become spiritual and
no at all. Like, this I know.
And, you know,
it's not a utopic world we live in.
Yeah, it won't happen, but at least we can learn from that, and it's good that now people can, you know, all these images of cities in India where now they can see the blue skies, prove that the pollution situation was killing people just by driving cars, just because we were living in industry that tells you that buy gasoline because it's better than, and just the society oblige you to follow certain rules, and that's one thing that's gonna change with this crisis, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. When I was doing the research, I found this like little video that I think I'm gonna share because it's really cute. It's this town in Japan. It's called, I wrote it, Kamikatsu. And because the people from the village, I think there are like 1,000 people in the village, they saw like the impact that all this like trash was like having in their health, because they were burning like all the trash, and like obviously they were getting a lot of lung cancers and like a lot of like illnesses. Like the population, they decided to go zero waste or like upcycling. Yeah. And they went from like non-recycling at all and like burning everything to being like 90% recyclable. So like they are literally like nearly 100% upcycling, you know. So everything they produce, they recycle, and they make other things out of it, you know. But it was like the population understood that it was like a suicide, you know. Like it's not just like I grab this and I throw it on the floor. This is gonna have an impact on you or your neighbor that maybe is your friend, you know what I mean? So it's just being like the globe being conscious that it's an impact, it's like a suicide, it's your own death.
And it's changing really, and it's fantastic. Just like supporting local producer, buying your vegetable and fruit from a local place. Not, you know, we're just learning, and it takes time, and unfortunately we need crisis to.
Yeah. Do you see that, for example, generations like your daughters, are different, like the mindset and like how they see things?
Sorry,
How
but
do you
no,
see it?
they're not.
It's
They're
different?
not because they, again, they live depending on their parents, depending on their friends and the way they surround themselves, the decision that they make. But my daughter, she decided one day, like, okay, I'm vegetarian. For one day to another, she said, "No, I don't eat meat anymore. I saw this awful program about the way they treat the animals. I don't want to eat meat anymore."
Oh my God, that's so cute.
So I
That's
go with her, and you go, and you also are vegetarian, and it's interesting, and just it questioned the way our relationship with meat, and so we just have to go through this to question what we've been taught,
yeah,
that
yeah,
this is the way
exactly.
you have to live.
I think that's kind of like the essence of our whole talk, like question if your reality is the one that you want for yourself, and just like not really think about like what was before you, but just question
Yeah,
what is now, what can be
what is
done.
now? Huh?
So thank you so much, Baloji. That was really nice. Thank you for your words. It was really inspiring.
Have a good day, everyone. Sorry.
Bye.
Bye. See you.